I just wanted to stream. I'm hanging out by myself. I told somebody the other day, like, what I think of when I start streaming. The idea is that I just want somebody to hang out with me while I play with my gear, and I'm hoping that will be you. So thank you. Um, the gear that we're playing with is the Octatrack, which you should be able to see now, and the Modular, and the model cycles here. I got my trusty Modbang patch cables. And for those of you who follow me on YouTube, this is my company. I own Modbang. These are the cables that I make. They are glow in the dark, and they're very strange, and some of them are very fleshy, and they're cool. Check them out at modbang.com. Don't usually talk about that. I feel weird about doing self-promotion stuff, but I shouldn't. But anyway, what I want to talk about today is the model cycles. Really, essentially, is the model cycles. And I thought, you know, I have my analog heat here too. And pop this little cam thing on so you guys can see my face here too. And what's up, Troy? I'll put this over here so I can read it a little easier. And yeah, so for a long time, I've had the analog heat, and I'm just going to start off chatting about that. It's very warm as I touch it because I never turn it off. And I read an article or I heard a thing and it stuck with me, and it was about analog circuitry and about not turning it off often. Like, don't turn it on and off all the time. Like, leave it on if you're going to use it. And I play with my gear all the time, so I just always leave my analog heat on. I've had it for many years. It's still working. The screen's got some nasty burn-in from me leaving it on, of course, because there's no screensaver on the Mark 1s. And this is a Mark 1 here. You can't see that because I have it sitting up. It's like vertical here. But yes, it is a Mark 1. I wish I had a Mark 2. That would be cool. But they do the same thing. You don't need a Mark 2. If you can find a Mark 1, snag it. And I've had some people asking me about, should I get an analog heat? And the truth is, yes. Yeah, why not? I love the idea of rounding off the digital edges into your analog heat because it just makes things sound warm. And as the name inspires things to sound warm, right? But it's got an EQ on it. If you're not familiar with it, it's got this wonderful little EQ here. Oh, the filter should be off. And I like to just boost it a little above 12 o'clock on the low end of things. And I boost it at about 130 here, or that would be, you know, time clockwise, in the high end. And it just sounds great. And I usually leave it on clean boost, or maybe I'd have it on saturation, but with the drive turned down a little bit, because it will, you know, it'll distort, which is what it does. It's analog distortion circuits. But it sounds really good, and it definitely makes a difference. What is good, people? Trent, what's up? I'm meant to be working, but this is way more exciting. Yeah, I'm streaming a little late. I kind of anticipate there'll be a lot less people here than there has been in the past, because streams actually have been a pretty good turnout, but I am streaming a little bit later in the evening. This is just when I have some free time. But what was I talking about with the analog heat here? Anyhow, I use it all the time. I like it a lot. The Overbridge plugin for it works really well. And I was doing a lesson with somebody, and we were working with the Overbridge plugin and doing it with the Digitac, and we were trying to we routed the effects so you could record individual tracks and then and then also record the effects tracks so that you can actually hear the cool effects that you do, because the reverb and the delay on the Digitac and the Digitone are excellent, and you don't want to lose them when you are multitracking into your computer, which is not something I typically do anymore. I'm either just jaded to multitracking, or I've just become okay with a mass, like just mixing in the box. I think I have more fun doing it that way, and I think I finish my music faster when I do it, or I actually finish it because I'm just like, I don't have to worry about getting like 16 tracks into my computer and then messing with them all and then trying to release it. I just, you know, make a video or just record a track and give it to whoever I'm giving it to, whether it be like a record label or a just SoundCloud or or whatever, or your friends. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. Yeah, so how are you guys doing? How's everybody? Hope everyone is well. Things have been pretty crazy again with COVID. Things are ramping back up, and that sucks. And we were fortunate at Patchworks. I'm the video producer at Patchworks. I make the YouTube videos for them. We were fortunate to have a party on Saturday where we were celebrating our grand opening of our new location. And that was a really cool thing for us. And I got to play live, and I brought my Octatrack and my Digitac and my Digitone. And afterwards, I got to dance to live music, live hardware electronic music, which is what we specialize at Patchworks, and it's the kind of music that I'm interested in making and going and seeing. And it was so fun to be able to dance again and just really enjoy the music and enjoy the people. We were all wearing masks, of course, and that part was hard because you're dancing and it's very warm as you dance, as many of you probably know, and dancing with a mask feels extra warm. But it was really fun, and it was super great to take my Electron gear out and play a show again, because I hadn't done it live in person since COVID started. Right, like it was a couple weeks before COVID started. I was playing live pretty regularly here in Seattle. And man, it just really ruined things. But fortunately, I got a bunch of gear for streaming and stuff, so I can just kind of do it here. Say what's up with these folks. Where's the new location? It's in Stoneway in Ballard, Fremont, Wallingford. I'm unsure. It's like on this like corner cusp of it, but look up Patchworks. Or you go to the website. It's the easiest way to find it, but it's a little further north, like close to Wallingford. And it's awesome. We have a great showroom now. But okay, enough of the chit chat and saying hello, even though I just love being able to chit chat and say hello to everybody. Quite a few things have been on my mind in terms of my gear, like what is exciting for me and like what's going to motivate me to play with my stuff. But actually, before we get into that, I kind of lost my mind about the sequential release today and the leak yesterday, but the Take 5, I don't know, anybody else think that's cool? Because I have a Prophet 5, and I can tell you that for $1,300 to have the same filter and actual full VCOs instead of DCOs in a box that doesn't weigh very much and is smaller, that I can move around easily, maybe put it on this desk that I'm at right now. It's probably about the size of my 7U case, and I want to get it. I think I'm going to get it. And I have a 5, but a Prophet 5 has no sequencer, no effects, and it also has like barely any modulation. It does have, the cross mod is awesome. We're not talking smack on the Prophet 5, but I'm just talking to have that sound in a box that affordable. I mean, I think everybody is going to want this if they, well, there's been some debate about that, but I believe you should want it because the Prophet 5 sounds amazing. And if it sounds like 75% as good as that, snag it. Cool. So what I have going on here is my model cycles. I already have a little bit of music already written here. And the model cycles is my master clock. And it is so it's sending transport, sending clock. It's going into the Octatrack. The Octatrack is acting as a performance mixer. So I have this going into inputs A and B, and it's going into a through track, into a neighbor track. So I get 4 insert effects through the through track and the neighbor track. My modular is going into inputs C and D, and it's also getting a through track and neighbor track. So another 4 insert effects. And that's kind of the way that this template is built. This is a template. This is almost a product at this point. I've been using it for so long. This is something I give away on my Patreon. If you feel like joining, you can have it too if you like it. Maybe you'll hear it and be like, hey, it's nice. I want to learn how you made those effects. You can rework it, you know, reverse engineer it. But anyway, so here's kind of the music that I have going on at the moment. I think this is coming from the chainsaw. There we go. So we don't want the chainsaw in that mix. It's just a really chill feel. So originally I had this at a much higher tempo, and I'll just show you. But it sounds way better at this lower tempo. But it was like up here, much more like dancey, but you know, we're supposed to be doing this lo-fi track for this release on Hollow Home Records, and I think that the sign up for it might be closed at this point, but I think maybe it's till the end of the month. If you're interested in signing up, and if it's still available, I should know this, but I don't right now. If you still can sign up, go to the EasyBot Discord. There's a link in tons of my videos, and go to the compilation, and you might be able to get your track on an album, and all the proceeds from the sales of the album go to a charity that we voted on. It's always good stuff. It makes you feel good, trust me. Get your music out there and it feels good. So anyway, back to this. What I have going on is I've been crafting some sounds on here. I want to make a sample pack for the model cycles. Not a sample pack, but maybe even a sample pack. You know, why not? But actually just, you know, a sound pack. And, you know, the model cycles is fun, albeit limited, but it is fun. Like, it's just really easy. Like the retrig thing here, like being able to retrig this stuff, and you can set your retrig function, hit retrig, and go in here and change it per track how the retrig functions. So like we could have this rate be at 20 over here. It's my snare, so I don't know if I actually want it to be at 20 on the snare. We'll bring it back to 16 actually. But like over here on this like melodic track here, let's bring it up to like, I don't know, some sort of interesting number here. Can't really hear it because of the like sound design that's going on in it, but you can kind of like hear it just whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, so I wanted to design something kind of chill, something a little lo-fi, and I've been trying to find some sort of inspiration, and I find to make music, 'cause I've been so busy lately making videos for Patchworks and just working in general, and I want to find something that's like, oh, I'm so stoked I'm so stoked I have to do it, rather than like watching TV or playing a video game or something. And so I went back into my modular case and just replaced a couple of modules, and I'm just trying a different sound rather than making like upbeat dancey music. We're here doing this. And so the idea with the Octatrack and this whole setup is that it's my performance mixer kind of thing here is just a bunch of effects. And on scene part A, I actually have scene A muted. So I have scene A, and I'll have that be like a favorite effect that goes with this setup. So for instance, it might be like the lo-fi effect. I can just turn it on, toggle it on and off by hitting function and hitting that, but I'll just leave it off right now. That way I don't have to sacrifice one of my scenes. So now I have a scene here that I can use. And just mute and unmute it. And it was kind of surprising to me that it took me so long to be like, oh yeah, just unmute a scene, and then there, I got my extra scene. So that gave me a whole other effect to work with. Which is silly how important it is that I get one more effect. I just wanted at least one more. Let's see how the chat's doing here. Matt, you're gonna make me pause the crown for this? Yeah. Oh, thanks for the compliment, Charles. Pause the Crown. I haven't watched The Crown. I hear it's pretty good, actually. Just tell me how amazing this camera looks, because I bought a new 35mm lens, and damn, right? It's very nice. Turn this back on here. You know, I've just been getting so excited about gear all the time. There was something I was talking with Jeremy, or Red Means Recording, about whether we're more excited about gear or making music. Also, as he's demonstrating the Korg wave state to me at my job, and just blowing me out of I have no idea how to use that thing. He's just flying across it. That thing just seemed like mind melting to me, but he seemed to have it make it work just fine. Got some cool stuff. Anyway, I digress. I get really into gear, and sometimes I spend more time playing with the gear than I do making the music. So I'll be like on the internet just cruising, looking at new stuff. What can I buy here? Can I buy new lightings for the video stuff? Should I get this guitar pedal? Should I get this new modular thing? Just doing all that and then forgetting that I have so much stuff. I mean, look at how much stuff is on this table. You know, people walk into like our music studios and see like we have all this gear that we've accrued, and they're like, wow, you have so much stuff. And then you're thinking to yourself, do I? You know? And then it turns out like, yeah, you do. We need to play with it. We got to play with our gear. Not that there's anything wrong with collecting gear. I have a buddy who has so much gear and he does not know how to use pretty much any of it. And there's no shame in that. It's just, he's infatuated with it. And so am I. So I love going over there and checking it out because it's just so cool. I've got to do a presentation. Please record and post it to Patreon if possible. Oh, this will be on YouTube. You can just come back to it. Okay, so I want to keep kind of playing with this music. I've been really trying to dig into the model cycles and what sounds do I want out of the model cycles? Like, what does it do really good? And I think it makes really good kick drums. So, like, I have this kick. Let's go to this kick track. I think it makes great kicks. Like, it's kind of a techno kick. A little bit more pitch to it than I would like. I'm not super in to FM hi-hats. Not that I'm not into the model cycles hi-hats. It's just FM hi-hats haven't always been the kind of hat that I like. I'm more into like noise, not FM noise, but like white noise, pink noise. I don't know. Different kinds of noises with filters. And that's the kind of stuff that I usually get into. And so I'm having a little trouble like crafting the sound that I want for my hi-hats. Let's see what we can do here. I mean, I like the sound of what I have here. It's just, I think I'm trying to like recreate a sound that I already know. It's a sound that I've used like so many times and just can't do it because, you know, we're limited by the synthesis capabilities of this device, and it's meant to be limited on purpose. It's meant to be performative. That's why they have these are like macros, right? And if I had all of the potential, if I could do what you could do on the Digitone, on the model cycles, you wouldn't have the macros. Like this would be crazy. It would be way too hard to do this one knob per thing and like sweep and contour and color and shape. That kind of stuff, those aren't real things, right? That's just the name of the macro. Whereas like on the Digitone, you're actually controlling the amount of how much an oscillator modulates another oscillator, or how much this operator feeds back into this operator, and so on and so forth. You don't really have that here. It's predetermined for you, and I believe S did it when he was working with Electron. And it's really fun, and it makes for a great live performance tool, which is kind of like, you have this like the control all function is so effective on this. Like, there's nothing quite like that was sick. That is something you can do on here really well. Like, it just, doing the control all stuff on here just works really well. So on this track over here, and I'm just remembering, like, I like this sound here. And I'm gonna turn the modular down so we just hear the model cycles at the moment. This is like a really simple sequence, but what I was doing was trying to create sidechain ducking. That was trying to emulate it as best I can. The LFO in the model cycles doesn't work like as the same as it does in the higher tier boxes. Let's put it, or the more expensive ones, Digitac and the Digitone, the Octatrack, so on and so forth. So it doesn't have, it has, it's a cool thing, it has one just called envelope, which is like, we know what it is. It's basically an attack release or attack decay envelope, however you want to think about it, or decay envelope. And you can route it to whatever you want, and that's great. However, you don't really have the option. So like in our LFO page here, we have reset, we have our fade, which usually is that little box that you see, the little box with like the fade in it on the Digitac and Digitone. And then we have our phase, our start phase point. And this is great. I'm happy to have these features. I would also like to have the trigger LFO and the one shot LFO and all that stuff. But I'm assuming that that is what the envelope does, is the one shot LFO. Actually, I should look that up. I bet that is how it functions. I haven't really thought about that. You know, I play with a lot of Electron gear and I make a lot of Electron tutorial stuff, but there's just so much, you know? There's just so much stuff. Anyway, let's see what this chat's up to. I should get S to give me a master class. Yeah. How do you set the heat as a master? Can you set it up as a limiter? Use the envelope as an okay. So then it is just the waveform. Interesting. Yeah. So I'd like it to be able to, I would like to be able to, hold function and put a step down and use that so that I can modulate things with an envelope without triggering the sound again. That would be awesome. Maybe that'll be in an update. I know that we're gonna get an update at some point. We haven't had one in a long time. That would be really cool. To answer the question about how do you set the heat as a master, can you set it up as a limiter? So you can set the heat up as a compressor. So yeah, you can set it up as a limiter, since compressor and a limiter are, basically the same thing. The limiter being, just a loudness modifier, and you're just setting the ratio basically at infinite and trying to keep it, as loud as possible without peaking. But the way the analog heat does things is it has an envelope follower in there, and you can decide the destination for the envelope follower. So you can build a compressor similar to like how you can build strange cool effects in the Octatrack. You can create sidechain pumping. Like, we turn this back on, and here we got sidechain pumping. So like the same as I can build an effect like that, you can build a compressor. And there's a preset in here that's like, I believe, color compressor, color compress. There's a few. I know that there's some presets you can download from Electron that are newer. I think they're like in the last like year and a half, that you can download to put on your analog heat and use it and use the new presets. And I believe that there's a compressor one in there, but there's some instructions that you can find online on how to build the compressor to like the one that most people are using. I believe everyone's probably read the same instructions. I love the analog heat. So the analog heat has been in my life for a long time. And I've tried all the different things with it. I've tried the expression pedal with it. I've tried controlling it with CV and gate with my modular, because you can do that. And I've used it as just a distortion unit. There's a video I made. It was a sampling sessions video where I use the Octatrack and I just record a bunch of instruments. And I had a Deluge at the time, which I no longer have. And I do miss having the Deluge. I'll just put that out there. But the Deluge sound engine is lacking. It just is. I love the Deluge and I love Rohan and the whole Synthstrom Audible team, but the sound engine isn't amazing. And when you run the Deluge into the analog heat and start tweaking it, oh my gosh, like the difference is night and day. Like it really, like it does something to stuff that maybe doesn't sound as good, and you run it into the heat and it really does some magic. they've got something down here. And I just call it rolling off the sharp edges. That's in my mind, that's what it's doing. It's just like smoothing things out. But yeah, so what I have going on here on the Octatrack, the performance mixer, is I have 3 loopers, and these loopers, and I explain this most every time I do this because a lot of people are interested in how to make these setups work well together and how to have it be like fast and fun to make music with the Octatrack and with your modular synth and or with any other pieces of gear that you have. And so I have these like recording buffers set up here, and one of them is a master recording buffer, and it records all of them at the same time. One of them is a recording buffer for input C and D, which is why you see C and D here. When I select these scenes and crossfade over, it only listens to the recorded version of this, or it plays the recorded version of this and then lets this play live. And I can show you, demonstrate what's cool about doing stuff like that. And it's the same thing for track 5 as A and B. So for the most part, I'm usually just using this looper here on track 7. They're all 4-bar loopers. And what I'm doing is stuff like this. So here, we'll start over. Okay, so I've armed it, and now I can kind of play with it. Crossfade over. And now you're gonna hear me opening the filter cutoff on the dope for synthesizer voice, and you'll hear the snare roll. Okay, and then it just returned to the beginning, and it's a perfect replica. So in the meantime, we can go like, all right, let's maybe start this sequence up right here. And we could, here's the waveform a little bigger for you if you want to see it. I know it's hard to see. I have the camera up really high right now because there's so much gear on the table. But now we can crossfade over, and there's going to be some new elements in the sequence. It's this note. Make this sequence a little bit longer. Maybe we'll do 64, and I'll just copy what we have here. It should be in time. Okay, so here's like, now that we have like a really obvious new segment here, and I'm also you can hear clouds doing its thing. I don't usually play with clouds, and so I was like, I'm gonna play with clouds, and I'm gonna tinker with it. This isn't usually the sound that I'm going for, but okay, so I'm gonna have this sequence not play. Okay, so I'm gonna record. I'm recording 4-bar loop, and then we're gonna crossfade over to it, and I'm gonna bring this element in, and it's gonna sound cool. Richard. the voice that we're hearing right now is the Loquelic Iteratus by Noise Engineering. It's a complex oscillator going into WMD Carbon, which is well, it's a whole bunch of filters. We're using the 4-pole low-pass filter right now with a bit of saturation on it. And it sounds good. I love the Loquelic Iteratus, and I think you should too. So that like doo-doo-doo, and this is something I love. I love the Surface module by Qubit in Modular for the same reason that I just spent $471 pre-ordering the Poly Cinematic, and that's because it very easily does polyphony in Eurorack. It really does. And the way that it does polyphony in Eurorack is by just letting the notes decay over each other. So like in trackers, often you have this thing called a table. And so you can have a note trigger and then you can have it do like these mini sequences within a sequence where it can go like really fast, or it's kind of how you build arpeggios in a tracker. And so if you have a super fast like arpeggiation that happens, and it just happens one time rather than a repeating arpeggiation, it would trigger all the notes in a chord like very quickly. And because it does it so quickly, it's almost like slamming your fingers down on your keyboard and playing a chord. So if I put a bunch of notes in like C, E, G, B, then I can have my major 7 chord play on the Surface. And it has a bunch of different models that it does that for, and you adjust the decay. And so that's kind of what I was doing. A bit slower. Here it's going. You know, it's not doing it super fast. I could turn the speed up of this track on the Nerd sequencer if I wanted to, but I think it sounds good the way it is. You can hear them decay over each other. That's not because of mutable clouds. Although, you know, it's not, whatever. It's the Instro version of clouds that I bought like 5 years ago. But I really like it. I was also playing with the Acid Rain chainsaw, for those of you who are really into modular. Acid Rain is a personal friend of mine and the shop that I work at, and we love them dearly. And so I love showcasing their stuff. And I have fallen deeply in love with the Maestro. It's probably my favorite thing that they've made so far. Because I have been using... As you can see, there is no Pamela's New Workout in my modular system at the moment, which is probably weird to people who do make this kind of music and have been doing modular for a while, because Pamela's New Workout is one of the best modules made. Similar to Maths. It's like, it's up there with Maths. Nick Bigelow, what up? What up, Nick? Nick sees modular and he shows up. Those little freeze delays sound so good. Yeah, I agree. What do you like the most about Eurorack? What a great question. Well, I like it enough that that I ended up working at a modular synthesizer store for the last couple of years. And I think what I like about it is that it's the new thing. You know, it's like, I imagine that, I know modular synthesizers have been around for a while, but them being able to be the way that they are now, how they're just like, they're fashionable even, like they're beautiful, and sometimes they're very affordable, sometimes they're very expensive, but it's like, you know, they're as much as a guitar pedal for a module. And I know a ton of guitarists that have a bajillion guitar pedals, so it's really no different than that. And it reminds me very much of that, and a lot of the manufacturers are guitar pedal manufacturers who switch to Eurorack or are also doing Eurorack, like Strymon. And so many other ones. But what I like about it is it's the new frontier. The sounds that are coming out of it are raw. When you hear a modular synth, if you go to a modular synthesizer show, it does not sound like anything else. You're like, the waveforms coming out of this stuff, just the sounds coming out of it are like, sometimes they're piercingly unique, or just the most beautiful washes of ambience. And you can't find it outside of like, well, you can find it when you use a shit ton of guitar pedals together, and like you're playing with your OP1 or you're running it into like a Norns or something, you know, that makes like crazy beautiful sounds because your effects chain is so large. That's what this is. Like, to me, this is like a pedal board that I connect together with wires and I create full compositions. And this Groovebox version that I have, so for me at the moment, the way that this has been running, and I have a little secret treat that I can't really talk about yet, but I will be playing with eventually, is a drum machine version. It'll be a little smaller than this, but the way I've been doing things is this is my drum machine. This is my mixer, looper, performance box. So this is where like I spend a lot of the time playing here, transitioning from part to part. And this is my synthesizer. So this isn't a drum machine. There's two modules in here that could be considered drum modules, and that's the Surface because it has physical modeling, and that's the BIA. And the BIA, which I will be using for percussive stuff. But for the most part, I designed this to be sounds that I know I like. I love the sound of the Dope for Miniature synthesizer voice. It has a great Mogi style filter, low pass filter on it, and it just sounds really good because it just does. And I liked it the first time I heard it. I was like, I love that, and it fit in my case. Okay, boom, got it. Do I need a crazy stereo effect? Clouds. Okay, here's this little version of Clouds. It's in my case now. Do I want to create some sort of crazy macro so if I push this fader up, it changes everything in the system? Yeah, I can do that. I can design that. And like, yes, when I first started doing modular, was I absolutely lost? Incredibly lost. Did I spend a lot of money to not know anything at all? I did. I spent a lot of money and I knew absolutely nothing. But I spent a lot of money that I had saved up and I just decided to jump in. And that kind of made me be like, dude, you better learn this because you just put like, a chunk of your savings, basically. I didn't have a ton of money. I was like working working in drug counseling and, doing that kind of social work kind of stuff doesn't pay well. So, I don't know what does pay well. I used to bartend. That paid well. But I have a lot of fun making systems, and part of the fun with modular isn't even making sounds. Like, part of the fun with modular is building systems. And it's cool that it can be that way. It's not like playing guitar where when you don't build your guitar. You pick out your guitar. Yeah, you can change your pickups. You can choose your strings. You can modify the neck or whatever, but for the most part, you're buying your guitar, made by your favorite luthier or Fender or Gibson or whatever. This is not the same thing. You're building your synthesizer. So this right now is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voice synthesizer with a couple filters, distortion, comb filter, delay, huge reverb, an oscilloscope, a sample and hold, huge sequencer, tons of LFO, send in returns with my mixer. Like, it's a super synth. And I know I went like really long on that question, but it was a really good question, and I love to answer that question fervently while I'm working, usually. Running you through my prototype. Oh, snap. You're running this through the prototype module? I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. Nick Bigelow, who's in the chat here, is my coworker, and he is the store manager at Patchworks, and he is building his own module, and I'm very excited for its release because I know it's going to be dope. Nick makes great music, so check out, I don't know what his Instagram is. I think it's Nick Bigelow, but you should check it out because he's got some really cool music. Natural progression for people into pedals. Yes, excellent answer. Wow, that's impressive for a small Eurorack. I wouldn't really call it a small Eurorack. It is 7U, 104 HP. It costs a lot to fill it. I have a lot of Eurorack. I guess, in considering how much more Eurorack is not in front of the camera right now, yeah, it's small. But that's because I work at a synth shop. That's what we do. We buy synthesizers. We just collect them and take baths with them and swim with them. and tuck them in at night. We feed them cables, patch cables, Modbang cables, preferably. Anyway, I'm doing a lot of talking and not a lot of music making, but I am really digging the vibe that I have so far. So I want to, actually, you know what? We're gonna copy the performance mixer track. So the way I'm using it is that this pattern, as you can see, like there's 2 patterns, but imagine that there was a ton of patterns on here. Say like we go to pattern like 7, which there isn't a pattern 7 because I'm still at the beginning of making this music. My Octatrack's not going to go to pattern 7. It is not receiving program change. It is just getting clocks start and stop and the tempo, because I'm not doing anything different on it. So it just always stays the same. I'm just playing with the effects. So for me, patterns are actually different versions of my template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this version of the template, which we're going to copy this one. Get out of here. Copy pattern. We're going to go to pattern 3 and paste it. So here we are. We're still in the template, but I want to change some stuff around. So I'm going to turn track 6, instead of being a personal copy of input C and D, I want track 6 to be like a mangled live resample track. So I'm going to change how it functions. I'll use, instead of using recording buffer 6, which is what is associated with it now, I'm actually going to choose recording buffer 7. So now if I go to scene 15, it's going to listen to this plus all this other stuff, so that's not good. So what I want to do here is actually, we're going to mute this and this too. And now this functions the same way as recording the entire composition. So it's identical. These scenes are now basically identical. However, what I'm going to do on this sequence is put down some like random trigs across the whole thing. Just like a whole bunch. And well, let's just go over to it real quick and that is what I anticipated. So now we're gonna make sure the slice is turned on this track, which shouldn't make a difference when we're here. It does. I love that stuff though. Okay, so if I hold function and hit AED here, it takes me right into the slice mode, and I'm gonna choose the most slices it will give me is 64, and I'm going to take them. And once I align it to 0 crossings, I'm going to say yes. And now I'm going to randomize it. I'm going to hit yes again, since we're already in the slice mode. This is like the function plus AED, that shortcut. Use it all the time. You should, because it'll save you a ton of time on the Octatrack. Now I'm going to do create random locks. Sure. So here's what we got now. I feel like we need like a ton of triggers. We're gonna have to reslice it and re-randomize it. Okay, so let's go back. And then, here we go. So now we have this cool resampled version. So this is what I love about the Octatrack. And this is what I love about using the Octatrack with my modular, is that is the only other device I could think of that does what I just did as quickly as I did it, and you have to get real good at it, is the ER301, which is a module, a multi-effects module. It's very expensive. It's hard to find lately. I had one and I sold it after I had it for a while. It was having this like, I was having an issue with it. But anyway, I loved it and I wish I still had it. Maybe I'll get one again when they're like not impossible to find and not impossibly expensive. But it did slicing and sampling, and you could do like random stuff. You could do anything you wanted. That thing was the most modular module I had used, and it was really cool. But to be able to just play my modular, write some stuff, and then to remix it on the fly, and have it sound cool. I could like give it some reverb. That's cool. So we need some new sounds. Let's do like, I want to hear what it sounds like when, I'm deleting this pattern because I don't like it. Cozy, what's up? You should join the A4 Plus Euro hype train. I almost just threw my phone into my own face. Dude, I'm on the A4 hype train. Yo, it's sitting. I'm not gonna turn the camera because it's a pain in the ass to put back in the right position. But I literally have my analog 4 hooked up next to where my modular goes when it's not here, so I'm right there with you. Kyle, I love some random slices. Sounds so lovely. Yes, it does. So let's record this again. And here's something I need to do. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to parts. I'm going to copy this part 1. We're going to go to, I'm going to use part 3. Why not? I'm going to paste part 1 onto part 3. And then I'm going to go back. And then I'm going to select part 3 as the part for this sequence. I'm gonna go back to part 1 and I'm gonna turn slice back off on part 1, track 6. I'm gonna turn slice back off on part 1, track 6, because sharing that part was not working with my other. I had to change how this sequence worked or how the performance mixer worked. This is why parts is really important to learn. Just think of parts on your Octatrack as a drum kit. Different drum kits. So your sequencer is just playing your drums for you, and your parts is saying, oh, you have 4 different drum kits you can play. And that's it. Like, that's the easiest way to think of parts. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to this version of it because I like it. A 4-bar loop. Okay, hold function, hit AED, 64 slices, hit yes, random locks. Since we created a new part on the Octatrack, I can't stop moving now because I'm starting to really like the sound. We can create some new scenes just for this version of the remixer template. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn something. I like these ones. I will turn 1 into like a halftime version. See how that sounds. Okay, no, I need to copy this scene, put it over here, paste it, then do this. Doi. Okay, let's see how it sounds. Oh, sick. Give it some attack. Turn up the clouds a little bit. I'm gonna turn on create send effects in my FX Aid by Happy Nerding. I'm gonna have it return into this STX mix by Bafako that Nick, who I was talking about earlier, actually built for me. Thank you, Nick. Hear how this Happy Nerding effect sounds. Let's try it here. Switch to a different effect. Okay, so that's the filter. That's the mix. Okay. This pattern. Go here and paste it. Okay, function paste. Let's do, first thing I want to do is change these hi-hats to something else, or add more of them at least. Just like fill the rest of the hats up. Now we're getting to a place where we can perform. Now we have enough musical content that we can kind of do a performance, but we need something more dramatic, right? So once I move to a new pattern, it should be a little bit more intense than what it is with just hi-hats. I'm gonna mark, copy, paste, and I would like to add more elements here, but I think I might do it here. What is this sound? All right, we're gonna start with the really basic sound here, and we'll play with it from here in pattern 2. I'm gonna change the length of this track to like an odd number. Transpose this keyboard up an octave. You hold function and hit track to go into your track menu on your model cycles. Sidechain pumping, we'll still have this melody playing over it. Let's record that. Just keep recording it. Merrick, what's up? Long time. Loving the sound, thank you very much. What could be the equivalent to the cycles? Digitone? Nah, I don't know. Nothing? I don't think really anything. Sounded hot so far, thank you so much. Good way to hype myself up for my first Octatrack, arriving in about an hour, alright. Sick. Okay, we got our recording. Congrats to you for buying an Octatrack. That was the right move. Here's our recording. We just switched over to the recording. Sounds good. We can do something like this. Tape stop into a fifth down. So a modulation. That sounds pretty cool. But let's play with those chops. Make a new version of this chop. Here's our new version. My hi-hat problem. Okay. Let's perform. Let's perform our track. Let's perform our track together. My sweet, sweet doves. Oh, I wish you were LaCroix. Sparkling water of any sort. I'm addicted to it. The Digitac wasn't for you, needed the real deal? Oh man. Digitac is my fave. I understand what you mean though, but Digitac is my favorite. Okay, we're gonna perform. We're gonna start with some stuff muted. Let's go let's see how this sounds. Okay, so kick drum, bass line with delay. Sure, why not? I think I've filtered enough of the delay so it's not like too harmonically overwhelming. Sounds pretty cool to me. Get our hi-hats in. Performance so far. The music sounds good to me, but not the smoothest transitions. But it takes a lot of practice. Anytime I make these videos or perform live, I practice a ton. A ton. Okay, let's record it. Make a 4-bar loop. That audition. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna create that crazy slice thing. I do when I build a macro, building a macro on your modular synth to me is taking something that creates a static voltage, multing that static voltage out. You can attenuate it or invert it, whatever you want to do. And then sending that out to your module so that you can have a slider or a button or whatever you want it to be. You can make a dramatic effect across many instruments at a time. So think of it like the performance effects on like the Analog 4 or the Analog Rhythm. We'll have this go into the CD of this filter, and we'll have another one go into the tone of the surface. And maybe we'll have another one go into the strike of it. Or no, let's have this go over to the Loquella, because that'll make some crazy shit. Okay. I think we're onto something so far. I feel like I need about maybe 5, maybe 6 patterns to make this song. So I definitely approach writing music with the modular and anything else a lot differently than I do with the Digitac and the Digitone and the Octatrack. I make way more patterns for one song on modular than I do on the Digitac and the Digitone, and that's just because it's just so much more complex. It's a little bit easier to let a pattern do more of the work for you, whereas on the Electron boxes, I like adjusting the knobs myself instead of writing that into the pattern all the time. I like a lot of times opening the cutoff on the hats and all that, which you can do on here too, but it's not about that. It's just that there's so many very unique and complex things happening that a powerful sequencer like the Nerd sequencer, particularly, is super powerful, can write a lot of modulation into a sequence. So I can let it do a lot of my thinking over here, and then I get to play with the Octatrack more, which is what I want to do, because like playing with the crossfader and creating scenes and stuff, that's where it's at to me. Okay, what's up? That's sweet. Yeah. I think I'm cool with my one high pass filter scene. Press gangs. What's up? I don't know you, but I understand what you mean by that. The high pass, or maybe I do. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for saying you appreciate my tutorials. I appreciate that. Gonna be making some more. I'm gonna make a tutorial on the model cycles. It's gonna be one of the next tutorials I'm gonna be making, just to help people get into it and realize that it's really cool. That's kind of what inspired me to play tonight. I'm going to make some more tutorials, some more modular stuff tutorials. I always mean to make a lot more modular stuff than I do on my channel. I just find myself playing with Electron gear more than anything else. So that's what I like to experiment on. You know, like, speaking of tutorials, like, when it comes to making a tutorial, the kind of work that I put into it when I make them can be exhausting. I do not like to give misinformation. So I spend a lot of time reading the manual over and over again because I really want to be a source for understanding rather than a guess. So I try to be that, and I hope that the energy and time I put into it is, I hope that people are utilizing that because I'm trying my best to be useful to you if I can. I really want to have everybody making the best music that they can, and I want to help you do that if I can. And I really want to know like what people want in terms of some guidance, or not that I'm like, you know, the guide or whatever, but I do like to put the effort in to do some research to create content that other people can follow, hopefully, and use to their advantage, and kind of like skip the line to being able to use complex pieces of gear right away. That's kind of the aim, just to be useful. Just put me to use. We're on this earth for like how long, and then I'm gonna die, and then I'm gone. Put me to use, you know? Make me useful in some way. Lots of ums. Anyhow, it has been really cool hanging with you guys tonight. I'm gonna try and stream every week if I can. Please join my Discord, message me, and remind me to do it. And tell me to do it, and tell me you're gonna be there or something. I don't know. So I have people to chat with and talk at my camera too. I'm going to play this jam one more time, and then I'm gonna log out here, and I'm gonna make myself a really late dinner. The most concise remix tutorials. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna play it one more time. Mute some stuff. I think we said we liked. Let's start with that one. And go like this. Start with this low pass. Oh, thank you so much for saying that, SJ Kentucky. I am not using quick mutes on the Octatrack right now because there is nothing playing on the Octatrack. These are freeze delay. So these are delay buffers that you can. This represents a delay on the tracks. If you hold function and press down, you go into your different keyboard layouts. When I'm doing the performance mixer layout, I use the delay control because you can do stuff like. You can do that, or I can do it in individual tracks. So I can do this is the modular version of it. Here's the model cycles. Model cycles being frozen. So that's why I do it. When I'm doing like just Octatrack and Modular, the Octatrack will house my drum tracks, and then I use quick mutes. You kind of have to. It's too valuable not to. Okay. I started that right at the beginning of 4 bars. combo effect right there. Yeah. Let's record that. That's what's cool about the remixer idea here. Getting those plucks? Ask Merrick or Karmic. Sorry. Which plucks? I feel like I'm mostly using plucks. Oh, the ones that are being sidechained, those like really prominent ones, those are coming from Loquelic Iteratus into Carbon. We have some more plucks happening here on Model Cycles. So now we can record this like sidechain version of it, and then we can do the modulation down, and that's a really fun effect, especially live if you're playing a show. So here we are in the recorded version. Outro tune. Okay, so just to recap what we did in this stream, it was, I don't know how long, an hour and a half or so. We're talking about the model cycles, what we like about it. I like using it as a drum synth. I think it shines as a drum machine. Makes some really cool stuff. The chord machine is awesome on it. Turn that down. We're using the Octatrack as a performance mixer. That's what it does best, in my opinion. Live stereo sampling. How can I not take advantage of that feature? And then playing with our modular synth, which is basically just a giant synthesizer right now. That's the way we're using it. So there's not like any drum machine stuff happening. I'm not even using all of the modules. There's a lot of modulation left. But I'm using enough to make this pretty little track that we have. As always, I appreciate you all very, very much. And thank you for hanging out with me. I spend a lot of money on all this video equipment. And I like that there's some folks using it with me. Fantastic. Come on down to Patchworks and say hi to me if you're in Seattle. My name is Matthew, aka EasyBot. I love you. Have a great day. Be well. Cheers.